Hello, my name is Martyr, and this is Let's Play Reassembly, and thank you for watching. Reassembly is a action ship building game, guys. Something along the same lines of Captain Forever, even though this came out first. And this is also very different from Captain Forever, guys. In some ways, it's different in good ways. In some ways, it's different in bad ways. You'll see what I mean in a bit, guys. It released on Steam February 2015. Reassembly was developed by Aniseptera Games, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and published by IndieView. You can go ahead and get Reassembly on Steam for $14.99. There's also an $18.99 version that comes with a soundtrack, guys, if you really enjoy the soundtrack, which I think is really neat in this game. I enjoyed the soundtrack. It's very reminiscent of FTL. It's all spacey themed, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, I played this game for about 2 hours, guys, and it has a lot of cool ideas, and there's plenty of things to be enjoyed about this title. However, there's just some things that I kind of got hung up on that made me scratch my head, and then I got a teeny tiny bit frustrated with, guys. And we'll approach that as we get to it, guys. We're going to start off with the options, of course, guys, and there is a fair amount of options, I have to say. You have some sound sliders. It doesn't necessarily give you resolution control. It kind of just natively jumps up to whatever resolution you have in the game, which for me is 1080p resolution. But as you can see, as you kind of mouse over things, it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. Like this has windowed mode, full screen window, true full screen, and that's kind of it as far as resolution control goes. You have frame rates, adaptive VSync, no limiters, 60 frames per second cap, blah blah blah. Physics updates, particle effects, background graphics, post-processing, blur effects, line quality, all that good kind of stuff. There's a decent amount of options there and graphics manipulation there. Also shows you your frame rate, which looks like mine's about 60 or so right now. The game also does feature rebindable keys, which is really freaking sweet. I love it when developers put in rebindable keys. Always a huge highlight, always a nice thing for them to do for gamers, especially people who like setting up things the way they specifically want it. And it's kind of a big deal, I think, because flying around in this game, at least for me, was about 90% of the challenge I found, was flying around and kind of just trying to aim my ship in a particular direction without ramming into something, because you're going to be ramming into stuff. At least I did a lot. I was just kind of bouncing around like a freaking ping pong. But yeah, you do have rebindable keys. The game does feature partial controller support. My Logitech controller was unfortunately not detected. Not even a wink, not even a nudge, nothing, zips, nada. Nothing. So if you have a Logitech controller, keep that in mind, but it does feature partial controller support. I'm thinking aiming towards the Xbox 360 crowd. Chances are that's what usually they're all aiming for. The game also does feature a whole host of Steamy goodness, Steam achievements, Steam cards, all of that Steam Fanatic stuff is there for you to enjoy, guys. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the game now. I'm going to start a game that I've been playing for, like I said, about 2 hours now. I'm kind of experimenting with blocks and different things and all sorts. I'm probably going to die right here, why not? Yeah, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I think I logged out in the middle of a battle, didn't I? I sure did. Yep, there I go. Maybe if I can make it back to the station, I'll be okay. Maybe. Oh god, just stop moving. Stop moving. Okay, we're going to head into friendly space here. We're going to change ships. I apologize, guys. Alright, there we go. Now, it's really cool how instantly fast things will change for you, and how fast you can go from like a large ship to a smaller ship. I'm going to start flying around. I'm going to start moving into a deeper oh god in heaven. Okay, can I please get through here? Thank you kindly. Okay. We're going to start flying into friendly space here, guys, because I kind of want to just talk about the game without being brutally attacked by everything. What? Why are you in my space, man? You don't belong here. Oh god. There is just enemies all up in my sectors here, guys. They're just pissed off. Oh, we're gonna die. For God's sakes. So, let's just talk about the UI. We'll just start with the UI, guys. There's a lot of things, like I said, I like about this game. There's a lot of things that just kind of frustrate the balls out of me about this game. So, on the top left, we have our overall ship right there. You can see kind of when the engines fire. I kind of zoom in here. You can see that the engines are firing, and that kind of is like a status of your ship. It's how your ship is doing right now. To the right of that is kind of like a little action thing. It's basically telling you, oh, this is what happened the last couple rounds. That is what's going on. You know, you transferred money. You got this guy. You died. Whatever happened to you. that's where that goes. On the bottom left, we have the mini map, which basically shows you the surrounding space. Very simplistic map, for sure. And what you're basically trying to do, your overall goal is to conquer known space, basically. You're just trying to conquer this entire thing by taking out enemy ships, or, conquering star bases, damaged stations, and converting them to your side. That'll start producing more ships, excuse me, and then you can push deeper and deeper and deeper. On the bottom right is a little bit of a tutorial system, and I will say the tutorial system does a pretty good job of teaching you the basics. It doesn't necessarily do a good job of teaching you the fine details, though. Like, for a while there, it didn't even teach me about command mode. I had to kind of restart the game, and then it suddenly started talking about fleets and factories and all that stuff. It didn't do that stuff before, and I don't really know why. I think it's kind of a tutorial system that's kind of reactive. It kind of just, it starts telling you stuff based off of what you're doing. Which isn't always necessarily the best thing, but I understand why it worked that way. I have no major complaints about the tutorial system. It worked out just fine. And that's kind of the entire UI. So, what is the point of this game? Well, obviously you're going to be building ships, guys. You're going to be building as many vessels as you can, trying to conquer the known galaxy. And there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. I will say this game gives you a shit ton of freedom, which is what I really, really like about Reassembly, guys. It gives you a lot of freedom to do whatever it is you want to do in this game. It gives you a lot of that, and I think that's really neat. And I'd love to see some of these ideas, thrown into other games. It has a lot of cool ideas, but then there's just a lot of things that kind of hold you up from necessarily doing those things. So in the game, you have three kinds of resources. You have resources, which are like these little purple blocks, or you kind of find them, you gather them up, and they allow you to trade those in for credits. Credits you use to buy parts. So there is, in a way, kind of like a gate at first when you start playing the game. You're not going to have access to all of these parts. You're going to have access to the most basic weapons, the most basic parts, and then you're going to have to kind of grind your way, which didn't really take me too long. I'm not going to lie to you. These parts aren't necessarily that expensive. The most expensive one is this one, which costs 11,250. Excuse me, I'm having a brain fart. But you get the basic idea. Some of the parts are really cheap. They're not really that hard to unlock, but you still have to do a little bit of grinding to unlock them. So what is P? Well, P is kind of like the resource that you are allowed to kind of, how many parts you're allowed to have on your ship, which also requires credits to kind of max out and get really higher levels of P, so you can make bigger and badder ships and make, giant Battlestar Galacticas if you want. So let's just take you to the actual ship builder, right? This is what it looks like. And I will say that the shipbuilding, while it is really simplistic and snaps together, and you can kind of drag things from the right here to the left, and it kind of like snaps together. It's kind of like a little blue line forms and it snaps together, kind of Lego style. And then you can snap that piece together, you can snap this piece together, and you get the basic idea of it. It's not easy, but it does give you a lot of freedom to design a ship that you like. The only problem is the thrusters. You need to put thrusters on everything. Every piece practically requires a thruster somewhere pointing in some particular direction, because having that control, that control around you're spinning your ship, that axle, is very important, and it's just not the easiest thing to do in this game. So designing a really good ship is definitely a trial and error type of thing. I've only built a couple of ships, and I was just kind of screwing around. I built this ship right here. It doesn't work that well. I also had a very limited amount of P when I first built it, but you can upgrade your ship's designs as you get more P here. So, like, for instance, I can add some more thrusters here. Okay, I want this there. And this will give my ship probably a little bit more control, a little bit more speed. We can add maybe some sort of better guns. Let's go with... let's go with like a burst laser on the front here. We can throw another one on there. What the hell? No, we don't want to do that. That looks silly. You can also rotate pieces. There's a whole explanation of how to, manipulate ship parts and all that good kind of stuff right here on the bottom left. You can always access the controls as well as rebindable keys at any point in time as well. You can also export your ship onto a file on the desktop. On the desktop, you can also automatically test ship against similar ships by pressing the test button, which is also really, really nice. So basically, as you can see, this is kind of like you'll see this mode a little bit later on. So, I mean, it kind of works. My ship kind of flies around. It does what it needs to. It's not bad. We can hit the escape button and kind of get an idea of what else we could do with it, though. So like I said, there's a lot of trial and error when building a ship. It takes... it's a lot harder, for damn sure, to build a ship in this game than it is in Captain Forever, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, there's a lot more complexity to it when building a ship. One thing I will say that I do like is that you can always switch your ship pretty much on the fly. As you can see right there, I just switched ships pretty much instantaneously, and now I'm the martyr ship, as it were, which is, you know, looks like it has a little bit more movement for control for sure, and it's a little bit better as well. Now that I've added that, oh god, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. Okay, so that brings me to the combat in this game. Combat in this game is a living pain in the ass, in my opinion. It is so hard to aim your ship in any particular direction and fire, actually, at something. It's not easy, to say the freaking least. It's just because most of the time, I think it's kind of the camera's fault, because you have to kind of zoom out the camera to see where you're firing at. And then that doesn't necessarily let you see too fine detail of what you're aiming at to begin with. So I want to aim at this guy. And, you know, he's probably going to kill me, this guy. It's just, yeah, I'm dead. Totally dead. Totally dead. That was the basic starter ship, by the way. That was not necessarily an advanced enemy. He's just... The combat in this game is not easy. It's not easy at all. And you're going to want to hire other ships to kind of usually go with you is what you want to do. Which you can simply do by kind of flying over to an ally. Let's go find one really quick. We'll zoom out the map. Here we go. We got an ally here. So we'll hit tab, and that'll enter as command mode. And then we can actually hire fellow ships. Like this one we could hire for... Looks like... I don't know. It doesn't really say... Where does it say how much we can hire this guy for? Let's just hire him. Let's see how much it costs. It says we hired that one ship right there. We recruited him for about 240 credits. So now that ship right there is part of our fleet. He will fight with us. He will defend us from enemies, and basically we can go around, you know, pick a larger fight, as it were, with his help. And you want to do that for sure, because the combat in this game, I just find it that the computer's a lot more accurate than you are, is the best way to describe it. And it's just not always easy to aim at enemy ships, period. Combat is a difficult thing. So like I said, your objective is to start kind of capturing these space stations. We're going to go see if we can do that right now. Which is kind of how you expand your influence. Oh god, see, yeah, just totally ran right into that asteroid. It's very difficult to stop. There is like a stop button, but most of the time, I don't think it really does much for me. You can also hit C, by the way. I think it's C. Which button is it? I think there's a button that allows you to change your control scheme. I forget which button it is. Is it? It's R. That's what it is. So if you press R, you can see kind of you can actually change the way you control your ship, like so. So there's a couple different control schemes that probably allow you for a little bit more easier control of your ship. I would probably say that the keyboard that rotates your ship might be the best control scheme. At least I found, because it's just otherwise it's just really hard to fly sometimes. But we'll keep trying. We'll go with the basic controls here. And we're going to start flying towards an enemy. Oh, God. Stop. Slow. Nope. Didn't work. Okay. We're going to start flying towards this little base here. And when we start approaching this base... do we already have this base? What's going on here? Do we already have this base? I think we did have this base. Oh, I didn't fly far enough. That's what it was. Okay. I was like, what the hell? We're totally confused here. Usually when you fly towards an uninhabited space station, a little meter is going to start appearing. But what happens is when you start exploring these distant territories, there's usually enemies around them. Like, I mean, really tough enemies. And like I said, it's because we brought that extra ship with us, we might survive. We're probably going to die, though. Realistically, we're going to die. But we're certainly going to try. And you can get a basic idea of what that looks like. I'm going to see if I can hide in here. So we activated it now. Now it's going to start, hopefully, defending itself. No, well, it did. It started activating and started kind of firing at the enemies. You see there's like a little blue meter. I was blown to smithereens because there was just too many enemies in that area for me to actually kind of handle. And like I said, it's just the combat in this game is not it's not really tight. I have a hard time really picking a fight with anybody. And these humongous ships right here usually just rip me to pieces right away. Well, why don't you just build a bigger ship? Why don't you just build your own vessel? And that certainly is an option, but again, that requires a lot, and I do mean a lot of experimentation here, guys. I'm going to try to fly into these shields here and protect myself while the station essentially just destroys my enemies for me. Take that! You can't touch me now that I'm behind my station shields. Haha, I'm a coward. That's right. What you gonna do about that? By the way, when you die, you lose your entire fleet. They're gone. They're never going to find them again. So as you can see, we destroy enemies, we get resources, we turn those resources in at stations, and then allows us to get more credits. We get more credits, we allow us to build bigger, better ships. Where did he go? Where did he go? I guess he just flew off, or... I have no idea. At least got that guy. Jeez. Alright, let's go over here. This purple stuff right here are resources, by the way. And we can turn those in at the station here for more credits. There's just a lot of freaking enemies here. And thank God this station is going to defend itself. It's going to keep firing. It's going to eventually clear out this sector. Oh, well, hopefully anyways, it will clear out the sector. It'll continuously keep fighting, but we can leave it there, and it'll keep doing its own thing for quite a while. And that's kind of the entire objective of the game. It's just kind of, God in heaven, what is that? Is that an enemy station? I'm gonna die. Yeah, we died. We got wiped out there, guys. But that is kind of the bare essentials of the game, guys. Like I said, you just gotta build ships, get bigger, better ships, and then try to kind of conquer the space here, guys. There's different little tabs right here. There's a map, there's a profile. Oops. There's a profile, there's the tutorial system. Like I said, it's not this world's greatest tutorial system. This is basically it right here. It just kind of tells you what to do, and then you knock that off the checklist and you move along. This right here is the upgrade screen where you can buy more P, aka parts, or you can actually buy bigger, better weapons for your ships and add them onto your ship. So we can, like, okay, we're going to unlock the mine layer here. Now the mine layer will become a part that I can actively add to my fleet. And that's kind of just a rough idea of what to expect from Reassembly, guys. Like I said, it's a cool game. There's lots of cool ideas. I really love the idea of conquering space, gathering resources, and, you know, slowly making my way forward. I've even interacted once with wormholes. But yeah, basically wormholes are something I imagine lets you kind of just bounce around space. There's a lot of cool ideas here. You can also fight other enemy designed ships. Agents are fleets designed by other players and are typically formidable opponents. So as you can see, basically there's even enemy ships that you can fight that other players have designed. So for instance, this one costs 1900 P. This guy made a fleet out of 1900 P points. This guy made 1600. This kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to be expecting to face. The more P, generally, the more you're going to get your ass kicked. For sure. You also have rebindable weapons mounts. You can say, oh, I want this weapon to be tied to this button. I want this weapon to be tied to this button, etc., etc., etc. Or you can just have them all tied to one button and just auto-fire. Like so. Which is sometimes a little bit easier. But you can definitely assign weapons. If you want to like have a flanking weapon, burst weapons, whatever you want, you can assign those. Like I said, it's a cool game. There's lots of cool ideas. I really like this space exploration game. The ability to create your ship is really neat also. Even though it does take a lot of experimentation, that can be sometimes a little bit frustrating. Like there's certain parts that aren't explained how you use them, like the factory part. It doesn't really explain. This is kind of like a spawner. This lets you spawn lets you spawn ships. It's kind of like a spawn point, basically. It doesn't exactly explain how to use these parts. You kind of have to just kind of figure things out for yourself. It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do sometimes. It just can get a little bit frustrating. But again, if you're a person who enjoys experimentation, enjoys just trying to build the different kinds of crazy ships and then having your ass basically kicked over and over again, then you will enjoy the creation of this game until you finally find that one design, that one model that lets you kind of wipe the floor with everybody else in the game. So that's kind of the basic mode. That's the campaign mode. We're going to go ahead and save and quit, and then we're going to check out the other modes in this game. But there is other factions you can play in this game. Shouldn't forget to mention those. There's other factions that you can play in this game, because you kind of start off as the most basic faction, and then you unlock different factions by destroying their capital ship from each faction. Different factions have different starting ships, might have different weapons layout, might have different designs. It just lets you kind of have a little bit more flavor to the game. I haven't unlocked any because I suck, basically. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's very possible that I just suck at this game, because it's a very complicated game. It's not the world's easiest game, guys. But there is, like I said, I just feel like there's just certain issues. Controls, combat is just really difficult sometimes, just to have that pinpoint accuracy that the computer absolutely has. As a matter of fact, I think that's best represented in this thing called tournament mode. So tournament mode basically allows you to kind of just throw ships that you've created at each other and basically see what happens. It's cute. It's kind of fun. It's kind of neat. You don't really kind of have any interaction with it. You're just kind of just sitting there and watching things happen. You can, of course, pause the game though. If you want to get a little bit more closer into the details, you can pause time. You can, slow down time, and it just lets you kind of just throw enemies against each other and see what happens. So as you can see right there, the enemy, that one ship, my martyr ship right there, has a pinpoint accuracy that I don't know how to do that. I don't know if there's a lock-on button or what it exactly is, but it's just not easy in combat to aim at other ships, guys. But this is tournament mode. You can kind of make a bunch of ships and have them throw against each other and see who wins. You can port your friends' ships and have a little combat. I really think they missed the ball here on Steam Workshop support. I think it would be kind of cool to upload your ships to Steam Workshop and then share it with other people. Maybe that's something that's coming in the future. I'm not really sure. As far as I'm aware, there's currently no multiplayer either. I'm not sure if that's something that will be coming in the future. I don't probably think it's going to be, though. There's also a sandbox mode. Now, sandbox mode I am kind of clueless about because it involves coding. There is basically an editor. You have to enter commands in here, blah, 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 enter. No such command exists. It's not necessarily an easy thing to kind of manipulate and use unless you're really familiar with coding and all that good kind of stuff there. But I mean, that is there and that is available to you. And I'm sure there's probably guides out there that'll help people figure out how to use this kind of stuff and all that good kind of stuff. To me, I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of this crap. So you have that option. It's just not necessarily the world's easiest editor to use, guys. So I think that kind of covers everything I want to say about Reassembly. Like I said, there's a lot of cool ideas. I think there's a lot of freedom to build whatever you want. I enjoy the exploration. I enjoy the space, flying around, locking stations, and wormholes, and a lot of cool ideas there. But there's just a lot of things in the finite details that are really difficult. The combat, the fact that I feel like a ping pong in space. I feel like I'm just bouncing off of objects left and right. It makes it a little bit frustrating. And then the enemies, usually when you approach a ship, is going to destroy you in about 5 seconds. Unless you find that one ship design, unless you make that one masterful ship and destroy the galaxy, which I have yet to find, guys. But you may have a different experience than me. It's very possible I just suck at this game, guys. Like I said, it's a fun game, just has certain issues out there. I think that's kind of everything I want to say about the game, guys. So I just want to say big thanks to the developer and publisher for a chance to check out this title. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and share, and I'll keep bringing you awesome indie games, guys, kind of like Reassembly here. If you really enjoyed this video, maybe consider hitting up that tip jar if you're feeling generous of heart. All tips go to improving the channel or future giveaways. Until next time, guys, play more indie games.